The lights over Indianapolis flicker like warning signs. Phones buzz, agents whisper, and somewhere between the silence and static, a storm begins. Caitlin Clark, the name that rebuilt women's basketball, is suddenly at the center of a tug-of-war that could reshape the entire sport. ESPN drops the headline everyone feared. Clark won't join Unrivaled. But behind that decision lies something bigger, darker, and far more personal. Because according to multiple insiders, the WNBA wasn't just watching her decision. They were fighting it with money, promises, and power. No rookie has ever held this much leverage. Not Diana Taurasi in her prime. Not Maya Moore at her peak. Caitlin Clark, a first-year player barely finished unpacking her bags in Indiana, has leagues bending to her will. On one side, Unrivaled, a flashy new three. On 3 league promising freedom, money, and influence. On the other, the WNBA, the establishment, the legacy, the gatekeeper of history. Both wanted her name, her image, her aura, and for weeks, she said nothing. Until one decision shattered the illusion. Unrivaled thought they had her. They'd built entire marketing campaigns around the idea of Caitlin Clark joining. Posters, teasers, even cryptic countdowns, all hinting that the golden girl of basketball was ready to defect. But when the day finally came, fans tuned in expecting fireworks and instead found smoke. A 22-minute video filled with Easter eggs pointing to Clark's jersey number ended in silence. No reveal, no announcement, just confusion. Within minutes, hashtags like #BaitAndSwitch and #CaitlinGate flooded social media. The dream imploded live on air. But what fans didn't know then, what's leaking out now, is that while Unrivaled's hype machine spun out of control, the WNBA was already in motion. League executives, terrified of losing their brightest star to a rival platform, reportedly made a last-minute counteroffer so massive it shocked even veteran agents. Sources claim the deal wasn't just about money. It included media commitments, expanded sponsorship privileges, and the kind of behind-the-scenes guarantees that only one player in history had ever received. Caitlin Clark wasn't just being persuaded. She was being protected. Inside Unrivaled, panic set in. Napheesa Collier and Breanna Stewart, both part of the league's founding circle, were blindsided. Their vision of an independent players' league hinged on one superstar, Clark. Without her, investors began asking hard questions. How do you build a revolution without the face of the revolution? Behind the scenes, meetings grew tense. Marketing teams deleted posts. Endorsement partners, like State Farm, hesitated to commit. It wasn't just a rejection. It was a warning shot from the WNBA's top floor. Stay in your lane. Caitlin Clark's silence only made it louder. She didn't post a statement, didn't tweet, didn't feed the chaos. Her absence spoke volumes. Fans wanted clarity, but Clark chose composure. She had learned early that in professional sports, noise can destroy you faster than failure. So she let the world talk while she worked. And behind closed doors, the Indiana Fever quietly celebrated. Their franchise cornerstone had just chosen loyalty over $1 million temptation. To them, this wasn't just a business decision. It was a miracle. For Unrivaled, the fallout was brutal. Weeks of hype disintegrated into ridicule. Analysts called their 22-minute roster reveal the most embarrassing marketing flop in modern sports. The teaser that hinted at her jersey number, 22, now looked like a cruel joke. One journalist even compared it to throwing a party for a guest who never agreed to come. Fans who once cheered for women's basketball innovation now mocked the league for its desperation. But as the laughter echoed online, the WNBA strategy was coming into focus. The league had learned from history. When legends like Candace Parker and Brittany Griner explored overseas opportunities, the WNBA watched helplessly as Europe and Asia paid them far more. But Caitlin Clark was different. She wasn't just another star. She was the franchise. Every metric, ratings, attendance, sponsorships, pointed to her. Lose Clark, and the league risks losing everything it just gained. That's why insiders describe the bombshell offer as a desperate yet brilliant move. The WNBA wasn't negotiating. They were securing their lifeline. Unrivaled had dangled a Messi-style offer, over $1 million for a short season, plus equity and revenue shares. But the WNBA countered with legacy. They promised exposure, a global marketing campaign, and even hinted at structural changes to player pay. One executive allegedly called her camp directly, saying, "You're not just playing for a league, you're shaping its future." For Clark, the decision became bigger than money. It was about trust. Who really had her back when the cameras stopped rolling? Behind the curtain, pressure built. Agents whispered about clauses. Sponsors discussed optics. And executives on both sides wondered who would blink first. Clark's name had become a currency, traded in boardrooms and betting lines alike. Every day she stayed silent. Her value grew. Unrivaled thought the buzz meant interest. But the WNBA knew better. The longer she waited, the more leverage she held. By the time ESPN broke the story, the war was already over. Clark had quietly chosen her side, and it wasn't the rebels. The news hit like an earthquake. ESPN confirmed Caitlin Clark would not join Unrivaled. Within hours, social media split into two worlds, one celebrating loyalty, the other crying manipulation. Fans debated whether she had turned her back on innovation or saved women's basketball from chaos. But inside Indiana, the mood was clear. Relief. For the Fever organization, this meant continuity, health, and focus. Their young superstar wasn't risking injury in an off-season experiment. She was building something real, something sustainable, right where she started. Meanwhile, Unrivaled scrambled to contain the damage. Their roster reveal, which had been carefully timed to build suspense, now became a PR disaster. 2 empty roster slots symbolized everything that had gone wrong. The 22-minute teaser, meant as a nod to Clark's number, now mocked them. Fans called it the most expensive countdown to nothing, and as the laughter grew, so did the tension among players already committed. Aaliyah Boston, Lexi Hull, and Kate Martin found themselves answering questions meant for Caitlin Clark. The shadow was impossible to escape, but in truth, Caitlin never needed to say no. She simply outgrew the offer. Her rookie season had already rewritten the rules of engagement. Over 1 million viewers per broadcast, sold-out arenas, opposing teams renting bigger venues just to contain her fan base. Her presence turned the Indiana Fever from a forgotten franchise into must-see TV. Sponsors lined up. Cameras followed her every move. For the first time, the WNBA wasn't chasing attention. Attention was chasing them. And that power, that influence, was something Unrivaled couldn't buy. Still, the league knew she was tempted. Who wouldn't be? $1 million payday equity, creative control, every athlete's dream. But Clark was playing a long game. Her camp reportedly believed Unrivaled's financial model was unstable, too dependent on star power and social media hype. Without league infrastructure or union backing, it could crumble in a year. And Clark wasn't about to gamble her health or her brand on uncertainty. Instead, she chose patience, a move that showed not just discipline, but dominance. Then came the twist nobody saw coming. Reports that the WNBA's bombshell offer wasn't just about keeping her from Unrivaled. It was about keeping her from Europe. Insiders claimed Clark's management had quietly fielded inquiries from top EuroLeague teams, some offering 7-figure contracts with luxury perks. The idea of Caitlin Clark leaving American basketball entirely, even briefly, terrified the league. So the WNBA stepped in with one of the most aggressive retention packages in its history. The message was clear. Whatever Europe offers, we'll match it, and then some. Those negotiations marked a turning point. What started as a simple career decision had become a battle for control over women's basketball's future. Would its brightest star remain bound to the system she revitalized, or would she blaze her own path overseas? Behind every email and phone call, billions in potential revenue hung in the balance. TV networks were already preparing next season schedules around Clark. Sponsors tied campaigns to her image. The WNBA couldn't afford to lose her. Not now, not ever. Inside Fever headquarters, the mood was cautious celebration. Clark's commitment meant more than loyalty. It meant leverage. For the first time, a WNBA player had the power to influence league policy just by staying put. Insiders say her decision triggered internal discussions about player pay, off-season scheduling, and media access. The WNBA, long criticized for restricting players' earnings, suddenly had to rethink everything. Because when your biggest star can command a global bidding war, the old rules don't apply anymore. Unrivaled's founders, meanwhile, face a sobering reality. Their revolutionary idea, a player-run league challenging the establishment, now looked fragile without its anchor. Investors began questioning their roadmap. Could they sustain buzz without Clark's gravitational pull? Breanna Stewart, one of Unrivaled's most visible faces, reportedly admitted in private that the rollout overpromised and underdelivered. And yet, even amid the chaos, one truth remained undeniable. They had proven that women's basketball could dominate headlines, even without an actual game being played. Clark's silence eventually broke, not through a press release, but through action. She appeared at a charity event, smiling, relaxed, and notably unbothered. When asked about her off-season, she simply said she was focusing on getting stronger. No mention of Unrivaled, no acknowledgement of the drama, but those 12 words said everything. While others fought for headlines, she was building something quieter: longevity. The kind of foundation that turns a star into a legend. It wasn't defiance. It was discipline, wrapped in grace. Her focus on physical strength carried symbolic weight. She'd gone from college to pros without rest, her body pushed to its limits. Now, instead of chasing another paycheck, she was rebuilding herself. Fans saw maturity. Sponsors saw marketability. The league saw stability. The WNBA's golden child wasn't burning out. She was recharging. And in that decision, she sent a message every player understood. Greatness isn't just about saying yes to opportunities. Sometimes it's about having the power to say no. Still, the public's obsession didn't fade. Every move Clark made was dissected, every silence analyzed. Conspiracy theories spread. Some fans claimed she had secret conditions with the WNBA. Others believed she'd eventually join Unrivaled under a new deal. But sources close to her dismissed the noise. Clark wasn't plotting. She was planning. Her sophomore season loomed, and she wanted to dominate it. Her goals weren't built on drama. They were built on legacy, and she knew the only way to build one was to stay focused. When the Fever's preseason workouts began, teammates noticed a change. Clark was quieter, stronger, sharper. The rookie who once felt rushed now looked unshakable. In film sessions, she spoke with authority. In scrimmages, she dictated tempo. She's becoming the leader, one insider said. The team's energy shifted around her presence. The same fans who feared she might leave were now witnessing her evolution in real time. She wasn't just the face of a franchise anymore. She was the backbone of an entire movement. Meanwhile, in Europe, offers kept coming, but none were enough. For the first time, overseas teams realized they couldn't buy what the WNBA had finally learned to protect. The Caitlin Clark effect wasn't about salary. It was about symbolism. Every shot she took, every assist she made, carried weight far beyond the scoreboard. She represented hope for fans, for young girls, for an entire sport long overlooked. Losing her to another continent wasn't an option, and that's why the WNBA's bombshell offer worked. By staying, Clark became more than an athlete. She became the league's living insurance policy. Every network deal, every sponsor renewal, every expansion conversation now revolved around her. Executives who once underestimated the power of women's sports were now writing checks because of her name. In just 1 year, she transformed the WNBA from niche to necessity. And that transformation wasn't fueled by controversy. It was built on consistency. Clark didn't chase the chaos. She controlled it. Still, questions linger. How long can one player carry an entire league's weight? How long before the expectations become too heavy? The WNBA knows it's playing a dangerous game. Over-reliance on a single superstar can create cracks that no marketing plan can fix. But for now, the gamble is paying off. Every time Caitlin Clark steps onto court, ratings rise, fans show up, and history feels closer than ever. She's not just playing basketball. She's buying the league time to evolve. For Unrivaled, that evolution feels like exile. Their debut season will proceed without her, but the sting won't fade easily. They've learned a brutal lesson about overpromising. The absence of Clark left a void no one could fill. Their flashy production, celebrity investors, and sleek branding couldn't mask the emptiness. Yet, perhaps unknowingly, they helped prove her power. By failing to land her, they revealed just how essential she truly is. In losing her, they made her legend grow. Back in Indiana, Clark's presence continues to defy logic. Her games attract celebrities, governors, and global media. The Fever, once ignored, now trend weekly. It's no longer just about basketball. It's a cultural event. Every camera flash, every sold-out crowd, echoes one truth. Caitlin Clark doesn't just play the game. She shifts its gravity. And that gravitational pull has re-centered women's sports around a single point. Not ego, but evolution. She is the bridge between eras, and the world knows it. The WNBA's bombshell offer wasn't just desperation. It was acknowledgement. They saw the writing on the wall, that their survival depends on keeping their brightest stars home. For decades, the league fought for respect. Now, thanks to Clark, they're fighting to retain it. She gave them more than numbers. She gave them relevance. And in doing so, she earned something far rarer than money or fame: control. For the first time in league history, a player sits higher than the system. The irony, of course, is that Clark never asked for any of it. She didn't lobby for attention. She didn't chase headlines. She just played, with heart, precision, and a fire that made everyone watching feel part of something historic. Yet somehow, her calm became the center of chaos. Her silence became the loudest statement in sports. In a world obsessed with controversy, Caitlin Clark reminded everyone that the most powerful move sometimes is staying still. As the offseason fades and the next WNBA campaign approaches, the echoes of her decision still reverberate. Unrivaled continues to search for its footing. Europe keeps watching from afar, and the WNBA, once fractured by doubt, now marches in unison behind its unlikely savior. What started as a rumor about $1 million deal has become a defining moment in sports history. Because Caitlin Clark didn't just reject an offer, she reshaped the meaning of value itself. Fans who once debated her loyalty now understand her vision. This wasn't about choosing sides. It was about choosing legacy. She knew the league she built couldn't afford to lose her, and she used that truth not to exploit but to elevate. Her decision forced executives to think bigger, fans to look closer, and critics to listen harder. In the end, Caitlin Clark didn't just protect her future. She protected the future of the game. So when historians look back, they won't remember the rumors or the marketing flops. They'll remember the moment women's basketball drew its line in the sand, and one player stood her ground. Caitlin Clark, the rookie who became the reason arenas sold out, the reason networks rewrote contracts, the reason a league found its voice again. She could have gone anywhere in the world. Instead, she stayed home and changed it. And that's the kind of decision that echoes forever.